Thank you very much, and it's great to be here. So I thought I would start with a question. How do the Beatitudes help us to live? And how does economics help us to live? Because I think the important thing is to try to get a dialogue between the language of the Beatitudes and the language of economics, to sort of cross this abyss, I don't know, this boundary. Anyhow, so this is my little aim in the 5 minutes I have. We need economic wealth as a foundation for life. Without enough of it, or the things to which it gives us access, we experience suffering, especially if we have children and we see them going without. Most of the world's migration pressure today is caused by lack of access to income or to economic security, or else a mismatch between economic expectations and what a particular country's economy can offer to its citizens. So that's the first bit about economics. Now we go to the Beatitudes. The first Beatitude also deals with wealth, but in this case, it is the attitude to wealth. Poverty of spirit could be contrasted to greed. And just as economics does not talk about greed, as Stefano has been telling us in what he wrote for us, so it does not talk about poverty of spirit either. And yet this vice, greed, and this beatitude, poverty of spirit, are crucial to happiness, our topic in our meeting, either by blocking it in the case of greed or making it possible in the case of poverty of spirit. So these two affirmations, the first one we got from economics, the importance of wealth as the foundation of life. The second one we get from the Beatitudes, the need to have a healthy attitude towards wealth. These two things are brought together by an English Dominican called Gerald Van, who wrote a book in 1946 called The Divine Pity, a study in the social implications of the Beatitudes. And in his discussion about the first Beatitude, he says that we need to care about things, including wealth, and at the same time, not care about them. So in order to illuminate this point, let me give you some quotes from his text. He says, "The detached man will care more for things than the avaricious and rapacious man, but he will care in a different way." So he says, then the first thing is to care. We must learn to stop and look at all the things that God has made that come our way and say, how lovely you are. It is that constant deep sense of the presence that, if we can acquire it, will prevent our love of God's creatures distracting us from God. We must learn to see this inward beauty in the poor things, the ugly, the things of mean repute, the waifs and strays of the world, in the dull and colorless moments, abiding in the arms of God in the eternal present. For it is only thus, to speak properly, we can learn to care. And so then he says, if you care like this, you learn also not to care, in the sense of we being stewards of the things that we have. We care for them, but not as owners controlling. Okay. So then, following St. Thomas, he links this beatitude to the gift of fear. And Archbishop Sorondo spoke about this in his text too, telling us that we need to have both freedom from fear and reverential fear, two types of fear. So we have two types of caring, two types of fearing. Here, the virtue is not in the mean, but rather in moving towards the positive form, we are freed from the negative form. So we can have wealth, be entrepreneurs or whatever, but we do not let money control us. Rather, we care for it as we learn not to care for it. If this is true, then the poor of spirit are the ones who take better care of wealth than any others. also exercising liberality and magnificence, as again, Archbishop Sorondo points out, which today I think would mean primarily investment in the real economy, investment in real developments, green investments, all kinds of areas where there's real value to be created and real needs to be addressed, also investing in reducing poverty, as we've been talking about today. Poverty of spirit is therefore good for the economy, as well as being good for our happiness, the opposite of Mandeville's private vices, public benefits. Living the first beatitude should help us to cultivate wealth in an appropriate way, in a way that puts the common good before the private good, moving us towards the fully developed pre-lapsarian human being who is less and less controlled by the weaknesses that we find in the historical human being damaged by sin. Thank you very much.